Good evening. I'd like to read our new land acknowledgements. Will now be stating at the start of every council meeting. We would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is a traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee peoples, acknowledging the One Bowl and Spoon Treaty. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest, general nature thereof? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on to the mayor's remarks. Please note that the meeting proceedings are being broadcast live, recorded, and made available through our township website and youtube.com. Congratulations to the Wainfleet Agricultural Society on another successful fall fair event, and thank you to Councillor Gilmore for standing in for me at the parade and opening ceremonies. I understand it was really good. Thank you. Thank you to all who attended our community meeting at Wainfleet Brethren in Christ Church on September 23rd. We'll host our next meeting in March 2020, continuation of openness to the public on what is going on here at the township. We are holding a Mayor for a Day contest, which we just starting this year. It's open to Wainfleet students in grades 6, 7, and 8. And applications are due October 23rd, and the winner will spend the day with me, and at the end of the day with me, they'll actually sit here and help us open council meetings. So it's going to be a very good event. I think there was about 60 kids today at the school I went to, because I'm going to the different schools and promoting it, so it looks like there could be quite a bit of interest in that. The Consolidated South Wainfleet Drain meeting will be held on Wednesday, October the 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Community Hall for residents assessed to this municipal drain. Regional Council next meets on Thursday, October 17th. That's quite not this week, the week after, 2 weeks after. And our next regular meeting of Council here will be held on Tuesday, October 22nd. Now that we're into fall, it's a good opportunity for me to make our residents aware that the leaves are falling and will be falling soon. And your culverts at the front of your homes near the driveways, good opportunity for you to keep them clean, clean them out. And the work you do there this fall will help next spring when all the water starts to happen. It'll help reduce the number of incidents where water is flooding across the road and not draining properly. So if all residents can be aware of that if you could look after cleaning your culverts out, that would be great. Thank you. And now we're doing councillor announcements and remarks. That's a new step that we've put into our council meetings as well, rather than just the mayor speaking. One of the councillors may have something they wish to speak to as well. So is there any councillor that wish to speak to any event or something going on? Councillor Cridlin.
Through you, Mayor, again, just a reminder that there's going to be 4 Welland River floodplain mapping events this month, and those details are on the NPCA website. I don't think Wainfleet needs to be reminded, but there's another election, and let's get out there and vote on October 21st. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments, discussion by any councillors? Okay. Moving on, adoption of previous council minutes. Is there any discussion for the council meeting September 10th, 2019? Any discussion on that? Any changes? Everything looks good. Seeing no objections, that is passed. And discussion on the council meeting September 23rd. That's the meeting at the church. Any discussion, omissions, errors in there that you would like to speak to? Okay, seeing none, then without objection, that is passed. And now we'll look to our first delegation is Mr. Derek Richmond. Are you here? Mr. Richmond? Okay, he's not here yet. So if he comes in, we'll insert him into the agenda when he comes in. So we'll move on then to Mr. Richard Robbs. International Volkswagen Car Show proposal, presentation of proposed event in Wainfleet. Mr. Robbs, would you like to come up to the podium, please?
Thank you. Richard Robbs, Welland, Ontario. Amber? Hello, my name is Richard Robbs, and I'd like to discuss a tremendous opportunity for the town of Wainfleet, an international VW car show. I represent Cruise Control, a not-for-profit organization that has been running car shows and car cruises for over 3 decades now. We have always run our events in support of different charities, and this show will be no different. We have decided to support the Wounded Warriors of Canada, a wonderful organization that supports those who have put their lives on the line for us. Here is more information on this worthwhile charity.
Wounded Warriors Canada is an organization that is focused directly upon the ill and injured, specifically with PTSD. And why is that important? Well, it's across our society. It actually isn't just the military that has the lockdown on PTSD. It's across society. And I believe Wounded Warriors Canada, in what they are doing, is they're actually leading the way.
And my whole thing is we go out into the community, we take care of everybody, so who's taking care of us? The fact that Wounded Warriors actually brought on or thought of first responders, I think is amazing. And the more, I think, partnerships that all police services, first responders can do, especially with mental health, it's just going to make an organization that much stronger.
The will of organizations like Wounded Warriors to go to the civilian population and to explain and to seek out from them the support that the soldiers and the sailors and air personnel and their families need in order to live decently as veterans in this country without having to fight again to be treated with respect. Wounded Warriors is giving them that respect. That's the critical element that never was there before, and that's why I support it.
The question, which I'm sure is on everyone's mind, is what's in it for Wainfleet? Well, Wainfleet will get exposure to upwards of 100,000 people across North America. There will be a massive influx of guests visiting the show, providing an economic boon to restaurants, inns, and other amenities in the area. And when this becomes an annual show, there will be consistent reoccurring revenue made for the town, which will grow year after year. But most of all, it will allow Wainfleet to step out of the shadow of Niagara Falls and St. Catharines and potentially turn it into the next Woodstock. Us baby boomers can remember that before 1969, no one even knew about Woodstock, and it has become a cultural phenomenon. How are we going to be so successful? We've partnered with a web development and digital marketing firm called Future Access. They'll be running ads of the event through social media, will design and develop a complete website, provide a complete press release and marketing package. We'll even create a custom software package that will allow us to become the first all-digital car show. Better yet, through the use of modern technology, we'll be able to tell the town of Wainfleet exactly how many people have come to the show and how many people have visited your website from ours, which will help demonstrate the overall exposure your town has received. The next question you are probably thinking of is, how much is this going to cost us? Well, the answer is nothing. We simply ask for the use of the Wainfleet Sports Complex, a place to lock all the prizes in, garbage cans, and the use of washrooms. Cruise Control will supply the necessary insurance policy under the guidance of the township. In addition, we will follow all laws, bylaws, and ordinances. All monies raised through the show will be given to the Wounded Warriors of Canada in the town's name, providing even more exposure and positive media. I truly see this event as a worthwhile endeavor which will pose no risk but an amazing reward to the town. I cannot wait to see what this event and Wainfleet will look like 10 years from now. Thank you for your time and consideration. Now, if you have any questions, I would entertain whatever you'd like to ask.
Councillor McClellan?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. You want to use our sports complex and washrooms and that. We don't have sewer and water here. So you're going to need to provide portable units for that.
Okay.
Okay, and what about food and drink and the rest of that?
Yes, we've contacted a number of places that supply that. Country Boys, for example, I'll work very closely with Sherry and provide whatever we need.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Cridland?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thanks very much for the presentation. You did mention about no risk, but could you talk a little bit about the security aspect of a large event like this, please?
Yes. As stated earlier, we have been running these type of events for over 30 years. We've never had an incident in 30 years, but we certainly can provide whatever security, whatever measures that you would like. We do have police that, if you were at the Last Chance Car Show, we did have police come through and look and watch. But again, we've never had a problem.
Councillor McClellan?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, but this is more probably to William. What about insurance for something like this? What do we need? What does the town require?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, depending on the extent of the facilities being used, any sort of user that is using any of our facilities, we do require that they provide appropriate commercial general liability insurance with certain minimum coverage amounts, naming the township as also insured, and the level of insurance coverage will depend upon the sort of nature of the event. So, a sort of a passive type event might require a $2 million coverage. If you're getting hot air balloons floating in and that sort of thing, or helicopters landing, the coverages go up from there. But that should basically cover it. And from what I understand in the presentation, that will be provided.
Yes, that's correct. We'll take care of that.
Any other questions? Okay, I have a couple. What are the dates that you are looking at for this?
The actual dates here in Wainfleet will be on the 25th and the 26th of July of next year.
Okay. And how many cars would you anticipate coming?
Being the first show, I will be ecstatic for 200 to 350 to 400 cars.
Okay, and those are all Volkswagens?
Yes, it's
And they
pure-
come from, when we spoke before, you said they come from all over
They'll come from
North America?
all over North America, yes. And this will be a destination. People will camp. They'll take their vacations surrounding this event.
Okay, and I guess the one question I have is if it's a horrifically pouring, rainy weekend, that would really reduce the accessibility to our soccer fields and our parks and that sort of thing, as in it would destroy them. So if we move ahead with this, we would have to discuss an alternate setup somehow for all that if, one of these, like right now, storms starts to happen,
Exactly.
so.
That's one of the reasons we chose this date is historically, at this period of time, it's been extremely good weather.
And I understand from you, Mr. Robbs, that you were involved in the Last Chance car show and that just happened in Welland. My wife and I went there, 1,900 cars. It was incredible. It was well set up, organized. I was actually quite impressed with it. I didn't know it was that big, and I understand you're involved in organizing that, so.
Yes, I'm one of the 6 people that organized that show.
Okay, thank you. Any other, Councillor Van Vliet?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So you said people are going to be camping?
Yes.
Okay. How would they be running water and hydro to their campers? We don't have that either.
They won't be camping at this location. We will have them camp at campgrounds around this area.
So my understanding is it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
That's correct.
and actually on site here in Wainfleet is mostly Sunday?
Is primarily Sunday, that's correct. We will host a cruise from this location, various groups coming out on the Saturday afternoon. They'll go out, they'll see the countryside, they'll see merchants, whatever Wainfleet area can offer. Then they'll come back for a barbecue and a dance that evening. And the general population is invited for that evening to come.
And then on Sunday, basically, your last festivities, and you would be gone by, what time would it shut down on Sunday?
We would probably be out of here, say around 6 o'clock, probably at the very latest.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Gilmore.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. When do you need an answer by?
This is an arduous task, and as soon as possible. I need to obviously start working on sponsors, both in Canada and because it's an international show, the United States as well.
If I can continue then, Mayor, I would recommend that we refer it back to the staff to study the proposal, and if we got back to you in a month's time, you'd be happy, or?
If I could get it sped up a little bit, because I do have to deal with the local area merchants. There's a lot of work, a tremendous amount of work in this.
Well, I think that
But
we need to
whatever-
hear from staff, so possibly we could make a decision at the next meeting. That will give time for any input from the public that wants to reach out to any of us, and then we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting, which is 3 weeks' time.
That would be fine, yes.
That would be my recommendation.
Yes, and that's kind of where I was thinking as well, for the next meeting. So we'd like to receive this report, and even now, we can start working with staff to fine tune it, to see exactly what you need, so that'll dictate to us exactly what we have to be prepared to supply, that sort of thing. The gentleman to your immediate right, Richard Nan, our ops person, would be your main contact at the start. And we can, I would think, get started on the preliminary work on that now. And then by October 22nd, staff can come back to us and we can have a vote on that evening. So if that's good for you, Mr. Robbs, that'd
Yes,
be,
that's
just
fine.
let us do our due diligence, and
Yes.
we might hear from the public as well.
Yes.
It's important that we include the public and they reach out to us if, there's support or not support for it, so.
Super.
Okay, so can we have a motion, Councillor Cridlin? Councillor Cridlin?
I'll second the motion then that the Councillor Gilmore has made, is that?
Okay, so the motion is simply to receive it, and then we refer to staff begin working with Mr. Robbs to assess what needs to be done and to bring it back October 22nd. So a motion to receive is made. Seconder, Councillor Gilmore and Councillor Cridlin. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to staff reports and recommendations. And the first staff report, I'll look to our clerk to speak to that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to all of council. The purpose of the report tonight is to review and update the Township's council correspondence policy for managing incoming correspondence addressed to the mayor and council. Currently, items of correspondence that are addressed to the mayor and council are circulated to council through a council agenda package once every 3 weeks. Items of correspondence requesting support or endorsement are automatically placed on an agenda for consideration, and members wishing to take action on items not listed on the agenda can be pulled from the correspondence package during a meeting. Staff is proposing that all correspondence received throughout the week be circulated electronically to council in a weekly council information package. If a member wishes to consider or take action on an item listed in the CIP, they will notify the clerk, who shall place the correspondence on the agenda for the next meeting of council for consideration. If an item is not flagged by a member, the item will not be included on the agenda. A link to the CIP would also be posted to the Township's website for public access and review. Correspondence requesting financial assistance from the Township will be referred to the grant and donation policy where applicable, and also circulated to council in the weekly correspondence information package.
Okay, discussion? Councillor Gilmore.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. I like everything in there. The only thing that I would like to see possibly changed is the line around financial requests. And I think that rather than those being directly referred to the treasurer, any piece of correspondence that has any financial implication, whether we need to make an approval for deferring rental rates or any kind of sponsorship, should just automatically be referred to council rather than pass through the treasurer first. So any piece that has any financial implications automatically referred to council, and then we'll look at it on its merits and then decide if we want to refer it to the grant policy or not support it. That would be the only, other than that, I like the rest of it, getting it weekly rather than in one shot on Thursday before the meeting, or Friday, as the case may be. So we can discuss the merits of making that change and possibly make the change and approve it if everyone's in agreement, or we can bring it back at another meeting.
Okay, so let's first speak to Councillor Gilmore's requested change. Is there any discussion on that, for or against? I think it's a fine idea. I don't have a problem with that. So we can make that a friendly amendment, and so that amendment is made in that document. And is there any discussion on the remainder of that document? Councillor Cridlin.
Through you, Mayor, thank you. I think I'm just really clarifying. So we're still going to get the summary that we get today in the agenda, which is great for transparency. I guess I would start off with any kind of efficiency we can gain, we are trying to do in the township. So thank you very much for working on this. There's going to be a lot of benefits by us getting this information earlier. So it's just whether if we're going to get the statement still, and we then have the advantage of pulling it earlier. But the regular ones that we would see where it does require endorsement, can I just clarify those, if we'll see those now on our agenda, or it will be for us to put them on the agenda in advance?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Cridland. So everything will be placed in the weekly correspondence package. Items that are requesting endorsement will be, it'll be required that council notify the clerk to place that on an agenda. It won't automatically be placed on the agenda. However, council as well as staff do have that ability to place any item of correspondence on the agenda.
So, through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. So I again, just for capacity that we're going to see, the numbers that we see on our agendas now, is that recording how many pieces of correspondence we get per year on a calendar year? So we're sitting at about 223. So I was just going to use this week's correspondence, or this agendas, and see that, there'd be a few changes. So would the flag one, for example, have to be requested to be pulled? Okay, so again, maybe we'll just get a little bit more training when this is implemented. It does seem like there's a lot of advantage to be able, for the public and for council, to pull these earlier. So I don't think there's any other changes that I would want to see, so thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on this? Seeing none, recommendation report ASR 25-2019 regarding review of council's correspondence policy be received, and that council adopt the amended council correspondence policy attached to this report as Appendix A. I have a seconder for that, please. Mover first, eh? Yeah, we'll do the mover first, I guess. Mover first, and a seconder. Councillor Van Vliet. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, the building staff report. Is there any no briefing required on that? Fairly routine. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, recommendation this report be received for information. Mover on that. Councillor Gilmore, seconder. Councillor McClellan, all in favor, and that is carried. And we'll go to the fire chief, and review of fire department establishing and regulating bylaw. If you would speak to that, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I bring this report forward as an amendment to the establishing and regulating bylaw. This is a repeal and replace from the one that was done in August of 2018. So although that bylaw is approximately a year old, significant changes have been made to the fire service that kind of bring forward the need to review it. Some of those changes are highlighted in the options and discussion we can go through. With regards to housekeeping items, definitions, clarifying some of those, actually naming the fire department what it is as Wainfleet Fire and Emergency Services, not just Wainfleet Fire Department. A change in the structure to permit the addition of the auxiliary firefighters that were added in the collective for the 2019-2020 agreement, and also to authorize the fire chief in consultation with the CAO to hire and dismiss firefighters. Previously, the existing bylaw said that the fire chief could only recommend to council the hiring and dismissal. This authorizes the fire chief to actually administer the fire department following the township's HR policies. So that also adds to the clarification in some of the duties and responsibilities. Also that some of the fire chief's duties in my absence can be delegated. That piece has been added. And then I've also there's been a clarification or a reorganization of the appendices. So the new Appendix A would be retitled and revised to be our primary goals and objectives and our mission statement, with the addition of 3 new primary objectives. Appendix B would be the revised organizational chart that includes The auxiliary firefighter piece is discussed, and then Appendix C would cover our levels of service, so both emergency responses and fire prevention. And so the big piece to that is the change in the level of service, the addition or the return, if I may, to full interior firefighting. I know that was a primary or a key piece that we've been working towards for a few years. And the main driver of this whole revision is to add that piece back in. Certainly the firefighters, they've committed to, professionalism and training, certification. Councils, the previous and the current, have committed to the investments in equipment, both firefighting equipment, personal protective equipment. So that all, and then also the capital, with our communications and an apparatus and such. So with all of that said, we're in a position where we can revise or increase our level of service back to full interior firefighting, and I think that's the key that we're trying to get here.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Okay, seeing none. Oh, Councillor Cridlin, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks very much for that report, Chief. I'm just needing a little bit of clarification, and you may have already covered it. I apologize. So I'm on page 2 of the report, under level of service. And it's just got revised to remove obligation and liability for delayed or inability to provide services. And again, it just might be editorial. Could you just explain the change there for me? I'm just looking at on the old one, page 99, and the new one, page 111.
Yes, so the
Thank
previous, I can answer that. So the previous bylaw says that, the fire department will provide these services. At no point does it say, if we're unable to, because we are a volunteer department, so, when we get a call out for a Thursday at 2 in the afternoon and all of our guys are at work, we're not obligated to provide those services because we are volunteer. If it's a private laneway and it's not maintained and we can't access it, that's not our responsibility. So that's, at no point is the township obligated to provide those services based on the circumstances that we're faced with at that time. So that's that kind of, that last clawback to protect the township.
Thank you. And one more question then, please. Again, under Appendix B, we're going, obviously, on the org chart from page 115, we're going from 10 to 15, which
correct.
is from 40 to 60. So congratulations on getting us up to those levels, but that's still implying that there's probably some financial costs as we move up to the 60, and I just sort of wanted that to be commented on. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, so that is not reflective of our current numbers. That is the cap that council places for the department to achieve to. Our current roster, we're sitting at about 44, 45. So we're nowhere near the 60. I would love it if we were. That would be great. But at least then I have direction from council of what I'm allowed to from a staffing perspective. This also sets out that if we ever get to that point, council has agreed or authorized us to outfit and equip and train that many people. So that way I can't go beyond that unless I bring another report to council.
Any other questions for Mr. Colassa?
Just a comment through you, Mr. Mayor. When I joined the municipality first in the spring of last year and learned that Wainfleet was in a position where the fire department was unable to be able to perform internal rescue services or internal firefighting, it was a surprise and something of a shock. And for the fire department to come as far as it has in as quick a time as it has, I think it's a testament to the leadership of the fire department administration. I think it's a testament to the commitment of the volunteers and getting all the training and all the hard work done. So I just wanted to say congratulations to them for getting it this far, and it's a job well done.
Thank you. And I'll just echo those sentiments as well. A lot of people I've spoken to before I was elected mayor were absolutely shocked that the firefighting department had no ability to go into someone's house to rescue them or save anybody. So the fire department, through the chief's leadership and through support of council, has really stepped up, and we are now an excellent fire department. And that leadership will continue, and yes, it costs money to have a good fire department, but we now have a very good fire department and the ability to look after our citizens. So just to echo your comments, that's very good. So recommendation that this report be received for information, and that council direct staff to bring forward the revised establishing and regulating bylaw attached to this report as Appendix B to the October 22nd, 2019 regular council meeting for consideration. Can I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Cridlin, seconder. Councillor McClellan, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, moving to correspondence, and draw your attention to number 217. We received from United Way a request to host a flag raising ceremony on Wednesday, October 16th as part of the 2019 United Way campaign. Any discussion on that? Councillor Gilmore.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to Richard and Nan. Richard, has the flagpole been modified to accommodate 2 flags at this point?
Your Worship, flag protocol does not allow for any additional flag to be flied with Canadian flag. So in discussions with staff and the mayor, we decided to actually purchase a portable flagpole that will be flown in the main office of Town Hall as you enter the building. And at all times, we will be able to display these flags that council endorses. We will be able to present them right in the front lobby of our council or of Town Hall.
Okay, thank you. In light of that explanation, I would move that we support this recommendation.
We have a mover on that. Seconder, Councillor McClellan. All in favor? That's carried. And I draw your attention to number 218. Niagara Region is requesting Wainfleet appoint a council member as a representative on the Greater Niagara Circle Route Committee. Is there any discussion on that? Has anyone done it before? Councillor, you're the only one that was here before. Go ahead, Councillor Gilmore.
Yeah, when the committee was active back a couple of years ago, maybe 3 now, Mayor Jess at the time asked me to sit on that committee. They were meeting on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, and so my schedule was flexible enough that I could attend the meetings. I mean, and it still is, but I'm happy for anyone else to, if it has any interest, to serve on that committee. I think they meet monthly at the regional headquarters. We haven't got the terms that I'm aware of, but that was their pattern the last time, middle of the week at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it says here that the terms of reference for this committee are currently under review, so there may be some changes forthcoming, but your point is well taken. Is there anyone who would be interested in being appointed to that committee? Councillor Van Vliet, anyone else? Okay. Do we need to vote on it? I guess we want to have a mover and seconder that Councillor Van Vliet be voted, be on that committee. A mover, Councillor McClellan, seconder, Councillor Cridlin, all in favor. Congratulations. Is there anything else in the correspondence that anybody would like to speak to? Okay, we have no bylaws. Notices of motion. Anyone with notices of motion? Okay, we'll have a motion, please, to move into closed session.
The council now move into closed session to discuss item under section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act 2001, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, 2 items, an accounts receivable matter, and a staffing matter.
A mover for that, please. Councillor Gilmore, seconder. Councillor McClellan, all in favor? And we are moving into closed session. Thank you.